Thanks, Eric. Hi, I'm Eric, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about computers. I'm a senior at Edina High School, planning on attending Duke this fall. I've been making computers, building computers for the last 6 years. I've been working with electronics, repairing electronics for probably 8. And I've been making things for about as long as I can remember. So really the first inkling I ever had that I wanted to get involved into building things, designing things, was Phineas and Ferb. I always loved watching that show when I was a kid, and they always would build just the coolest stuff, and I always wanted to build a roller coaster through downtown or discover something that doesn't exist. And I always thought it would be so cool to be able to build things like they do, and that was really my first inspiration for wanting to build things. So the first time I really got into making things along with computers would be programming, was how I first got into electronics and working with that sort of stuff. I took a programming camp the summer before 8th grade learning Python, and that was kind of my first foray into it. I made a Pokemon clone, a really clunky Pokemon clone in Python, and that really got me interested, and I started teaching myself Java, and from there I'd make more advanced programs. I got into making my own chess AI, which I'm currently still working on right now. And then there's like an intersection. It started to happen when I wanted to like make more physical applications. That came from being on the robotics team. But then I started to work on my own projects, making my own mini robots, and then making my own keyboard function for my computer. And that was kind of an intersection of 3D printing, which I've gotten into recently, alongside of programming and actual wiring to computer boards. One of the best things about robotics for me in like developing how I wanted to become a maker, I think, was having like a vision for what I wanted to create. In our team, we sat down and decided how we wanted to accomplish the different tasks that our robot needed to do. And just working through the process of designing, redesigning when it doesn't work, doing that multiple times over because it never works the first time, and just eventually seeing it be able to have a robot and go to a competition and see it perform, and see everything you've been working for and your vision just come into reality. I think that was really powerful for me, and that really inspired me to continue going on into making. So some of the biggest obstacles, there's obviously like the high barrier to entry, especially with 3D printing, for just a monetary barrier, but also especially with programming, it's so much of learning a new language. Like, you know the words because they use English, like you have the words print or file and stuff, so you know what they mean, but it's all about the syntax of the language and how you code it and write it together. That's just so different from like learning in English or French or something. It's just a very different way to write an instruction. Like, you could write, I would like to put jam on the bread, but to do it in Java, for example, you'd have to write out a function that would put jam on the bread. And it's a very just different way of going about thinking how you would do something, and it's more linearly approached versus like being able to think about it ahead of time, and it's just a very different mindset to be in when you're programming. So I think my favorite completed project, as far as ones I've done purely on my own, it's one that's never really completed, but I've been printing a lot of modifications for my 3D printer just to keep improving its functionality. So it's never something that's completely done because there's always more you can do to modify it. But every time I can have like a successful camera case for the printer so I can watch my prints, or a cable chain to keep things from getting tangled up while it's moving around. That's definitely something I've really enjoyed printing. But as like on a team, I really loved making the robots for our FTC team. That was super rewarding, just spending like 4 months designing and building a robot and eventually getting it to function. Super fun. So a project that's failed. I think my biggest project that I've been working on and still am working on but has failed many times is I've been trying to build a Game Boy into a Altoids tin. So I've got a Raspberry Pi as the brains of it, and I've been 3D printing components to try and fit inside and get a screen, like a 2-inch screen inside the top lid of the Altoids tin. And that's honestly been the hardest part. I think that's what causes most of the failures, is getting the screen capability to work. That's what I've been having the hardest trouble with. It's not the software to get the games to run. That's honestly been one of the easier parts of this project. It's more the hardware side of it that's been the challenge. Getting all the buttons to wire up properly, getting the screen to wire. The speakers have been quite the trouble. Getting an audio output to headphones has been pretty challenging, but I think I've got that finally working after like 4 months of fiddling with it. But that's a project that's in progress that has had multiple variations that have failed. But it's still coming, hopefully. I can definitely see myself using computers in the future for a career. I'm going to be studying electrical and computer engineering this fall, and I'd love to turn that into a career. I'd love to design the next computer chips for your laptops and desktop computers, or the next computer architecture that those will be built on. I feel like that'd be a really interesting career field to go into, and something that would really align with my passions. So I think a dream project for me to work on would be working on a Mars rover. I think I love being outdoors and exploring, and I think that's one of the last frontiers that we really haven't fully explored yet. We've explored almost everything on Earth, and I think going to another planet would be super cool. And being able to work on a project that's pioneering space exploration and exploring other planets would be super interesting. And if I had the opportunity to work on that, it would just be unbelievably incredible. Well, this is gonna be wonderful, Bloopers. Yeah, we can restart this take.
All right, we're rolling. Yash, you ready?
Yeah.
Good.
Did you have like a moment when you were like, this is what I love?
Not really. It was just kind of like getting around, to be honest.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what I'm talking about yet. So what do you actually want me to talk about?
Rolling.
What did you mention?